Area legislators were in town this past weekend to hear from their constituents. More from the legislative breakfast that was held at WJTS. Plus, Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz joins me for this week's edition of Monday with the Mayor, and Sally Sternberg and Michelle Brandel discuss Catholic Schools Week tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin this evening with two people suffering minor injuries in an accident on Jasper's south side on Friday. At 4 o'clock on Friday, DuBois County Sheriff's deputies were called to an area along State Road 162 just north of County Road 350 South on a report of an accident with injuries. Deputies say 26-year-old Amelia Seitzman of Jasper and 19-year-old Christy Kelly of Birdseye were both northbound on State Road 162 when Seitzman stopped to make a left turn onto a private driveway. Kelly did not notice that Seitzman had stopped and ran into the back of Seitzman's vehicle, according to sheriff's deputies. Kelly complained of shoulder pain and was taken from the scene to Memorial Hospital for treatment. Seitzman complained of minor injuries and was later taken by personal vehicle to Memorial Hospital. Kelly's vehicle was a total loss, while Seitzman's vehicle sustained $5,000 in total damages. No charges were filed, though State Road 162 was reduced to one lane of traffic for about 45 minutes while the accident scene was being cleared. St. Anthony First Responders, Memorial Hospital EMS, and a wrecker from Berg's Garage all assisted. Turning now to other headlines, the legislative session continues here in Indiana, and local folks got a chance to interact with their representatives this past weekend. Saturday morning, District 63 State Representative Mark Messmer and District 74 State Representative Lloyd Arnold spoke about their legislative agendas and hot-button issues during the first legislative breakfast of the year, held at the Classroom Building on the Vincennes University Jasper campus. The event was put on by both the Jasper Chamber of Commerce and VUJC. The two representatives took questions and comments on topics ranging from adding the definition of marriage to the state constitution, a bill known as HJR 3, to health care. Arnold says to this point his legislative session has been a productive one.
Inside committee has been a lot smoother this time around than last. Just with education issues, we've not had any high controversial things. Transportation issues, I discussed earlier, there has been a little bit with Indiana ports and something we're trying to not wave a big paintbrush over the entire state of Indiana for a Gary issue that we're putting on the rivers here. Natural Resources Committee, we've actually not met yet. We're going to have our first meeting on Tuesday, and we'll go over all the bills then, and then we'll finish some of those. So we're only going to have one meeting on that. So everything's been going pretty smooth.
Now, Arnold has authored 5 bills this year. The most notable of these is a bill that he says would encourage students to stay in-state.
It's really put in place to keep our best and brightest that we have right now, one in Indiana, and two, to encourage them to go into education. Because what it'll allow them to do is pretty much we'll take our top 20% in high school. When they graduate, they score high on their ACT and SATs, and they maintain a 3.5 average in college. Once they graduate, and if they go to an underperforming school or a struggling school, we'll give them $9,000 back towards their college loan. To try to encourage them to keep some of our good, brightest people in education, because we have great ones now, just trying to encourage a lot of them to stay here in Indiana.
Another issue that cropped up during the breakfast is the ongoing debate surrounding a proposal by Governor Mike Pence to eliminate the business personal property tax. Spencer County, which is part of Arnold's district, would be the hardest hit county in the state in terms of lost revenue. Estimates by the not-for-profit Legislative Services Agency had the county losing $11 million out of its budget for next year should no replacement revenue stream be found. Southwestern Indiana as a whole could lose $83 million from budgets next year. Arnold says he fears that taxpayers will wind up footing the bill.
There's no way to replace it, and I'm afraid it's going to come down on guys like you and me. It's either we're going to find another way to tax somewhere else, or we have to do a personal income tax, at a local level. Well, then, that's not very encouraging for guys like you and I. So if we're going to take it off of business and put it on us, I'm not a big fan of that.
DuBois County Commissioner Larry Vollmer was also present at the breakfast. He pointed out that DuBois County as a whole could lose $6 million if the business personal property tax were to be eliminated. Jasper city officials are estimating that they could lose $1 million out of their budget, while Huntingburg officials have pegged their losses at $312,000. At their town council meeting earlier this month, Ferdinand Town Council President Ken Seacard estimated that based off of those figures, the town of Ferdinand could see $100,000 lost from their budget. District 47 State Senator Richard Young and District 48 State Senator Lindell Hume were also set to attend, but they were not able to make it to Saturday morning's breakfast. On a programming note, Saturday's legislative breakfast will air in its entirety here on 18 WJTS tomorrow evening, starting at 8 p.m. Speaking of the legislature, one local legislator's bill to organize small business support in Indiana is moving along as the state legislative session enters its second half. The bill, authored by District 63 Representative Mark Messmer, would create a new state office to deal with smaller business. The office, which would be known as the Office of Entrepreneurship, would reorganize the roles of several offices into one. The new office would be overseen by the Lieutenant Governor's office. Now, as I just mentioned, the workload is handled by several different offices, including the Lieutenant Governor's office, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, among others. Messmer says the goal is to ensure that small business owners have what they need to succeed.
Easier for companies and more efficient, operation for the state, and anything we can do to help the state be more supportive of small business and entrepreneurism efforts is a good thing for the state and good thing for employers.
Messmer says the plan is also in place to continue efforts to make Indiana the best place for businesses to relocate. He says the bill passed out of committee this past week. Messmer says the bill was set to be amended today, though he did not anticipate that the bill would be amended. The bill is slated to be up for final passage tomorrow. If the bill passes, Messmer says some parts of it will be enacted by May 1st of this year, and the remaining parts of it would be in place by July 1st. All right, coming up after the break, Jasper's Terry Seitz joins me for this week's edition of Monday with the Mayor, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform with Sally Sternberg and Michelle Brandel. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.